Hi, welcome everyone. It's a fun idea if you could let us know where you're tuning in from. Appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let's relax and kick things off. The heat in Iraq is unbearable. Sweat drips down my back, soaking through my uniform as I patrol the dusty streets. My mind wanders to Sarah, my wife, my anchor back home. She's the reason I push through the hell of this place. Her smile, the way her hair falls over her shoulders, the soft touch of her hand on my face, all of it keeps me sane. I've always been proud to serve, but Sarah makes it worth it. I never imagined that she could hurt me. My phone buzzes in my pocket and I instinctively check it, expecting some routine update. Instead, I see Sarah's name. My heart skips a beat. We've barely had time to talk since I left. I open the message and the world around me blurs. I want a divorce. 4 words. They hit me like a bullet to the chest. I read them again. Sure, I must be misunderstanding, but the words don't change. My hands shake as I stare at the screen. What the hell is this? We were fine before I left. Sure, the distance has been tough, but we've always been strong enough to make it through. I type a reply, fingers trembling. Why? The minutes stretch into what feels like hours before she responds. I've met someone else. I'm sorry, Jake. I can't breathe. My vision tunnels. How could she do this? I've been risking my life out here, thinking of her every day, and she's been, what? Falling into someone else's arms? I'm surrounded by men who'd kill to get a message from home, and mine tears my world apart. I reply, but the words feel empty, hollow. I tell her I'll do it if it makes her happy. What else can I say? I feel like I'm falling into a pit and there's no way out. When I get home, the house is cold, empty. Sarah's gone, leaving only the echo of her presence in the walls. The bed still smells like her, and it's torture to lie in it. I drink myself to sleep most nights, trying to forget the woman who destroyed me with a text. Fast forward 10 years. I've remarried, moved on, or at least that's what I tell myself. My new wife, Emily, is kind, loving. We have 2 kids now, and I'm trying to be a good husband, a good father. But the past lingers, a shadow I can't shake. Sarah's betrayal is a wound that never really healed. Then one day, out of the blue, Sarah shows up at my door. The sight of her is like a punch to the gut. She looks different, older, worn, but those eyes, they still have the power to twist me inside out. She says she needs to talk, that there's something I need to know. I don't know why, but I let her in. I'm not ready for what's coming. My life is about to change all over again. Sarah sits across from me at the kitchen table, her hands nervously clutching a mug of coffee. I can't believe she's here, in my house, after all these years. Her presence pulls me back to a place I don't want to revisit. I should be kicking her out, but something in her eyes, fear maybe, keeps me in my seat. What do you want, Sarah? I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. It's a struggle. The sight of her is a gut punch, dredging up memories I've tried so hard to bury. I can't afford to let this affect my family. She takes a deep breath, looking down at the mug like it holds all the answers. Jake, I lied to you back then. The words hang in the air, twisting like a knife in my chest. What do you mean? My voice is sharper than I intend. I'm already on edge. She looks up, her eyes locking onto mine. There's pain there, a kind I don't remember seeing before. I didn't leave you just because I was unfaithful. There was more to it. I had to protect you. Protect me, I repeat, incredulous. My mind races, trying to piece together what she's saying. The rage I've kept in check for so long starts bubbling to the surface. From what? You think abandoning me protected me? Sarah's eyes fill with tears, and for a second, I almost feel sorry for her, almost. I know it sounds insane, but I was being blackmailed, Jake. There were things happening, dangerous things. If I didn't leave, you would have been dragged into it. My heart pounds in my chest, and the kitchen feels like it's closing in on me. Blackmail? What the hell are you talking about? She's crying now, her voice trembling as she speaks. It was all a setup. The affair, the divorce. They forced me to do it. They threatened you, Jake. They said if I didn't leave, they'd come after you, and I couldn't let that happen. The anger inside me flares into something darker, something more volatile. Who? Who threatened you? And why the hell didn't you tell me this back then? Sarah shakes her head, the tears flowing freely. I couldn't. They had too much power, too many connections. I was scared, Jake. I was so scared. I push away from the table, needing to put some distance between us. I can't look at her right now, can't process what she's saying. So you destroyed our marriage, walked out on me because of some threats, and you're just telling me this now? Yes, she whispers, her voice barely audible. I couldn't live with it anymore. The guilt, it's been eating me alive. I can't wrap my head around this. The woman I loved, the woman who ripped my heart out and stomped on it, is telling me she did it all to save me, but instead of feeling saved, I feel violated all over again. I want to believe she's lying, but there's something in her voice that makes me think twice. Why now, Sarah? I ask, my voice raw. Why come back after all these years? What do you want from me? I need your help, she says, her eyes pleading. The people who threatened me, they're back. And they're coming for you, Jake. I thought it was over, but it's not. My mind goes blank for a moment. The room spins, and I feel like I'm going to be sick. What do you mean they're coming for me? They found out I've been in contact with you. They think I told you everything, and now they want to silence you. I didn't know where else to turn. You're the only one I trust. I laugh, but there's no humor in it. Trust? You're talking about trust? After everything you put me through? I know I don't deserve it, she says quickly, but I didn't know what else to do. I'm scared, Jake. I can't let them hurt you. The fear in her voice is real, and that scares me more than anything. If Sarah is telling the truth, then we're in deep trouble. But if this is some twisted game she's playing, I need to figure it out fast. My instincts scream at me to kick her out, to tell her to never come near me again. But the soldier in me, the man who's faced death more times than he can count, knows better. If there's a threat, I need to neutralize it. Who are they? I ask, forcing myself to focus. What do they want? She hesitates, wiping her eyes. They're involved in something illegal. I don't know all the details, but they're dangerous, Jake. The kind of people who won't think twice about killing you if they think you're a threat. What kind of illegal? I press, my mind already racing through possible scenarios. Drug trafficking, money laundering, I'm not sure. I just know they have a lot of power and they're ruthless. My stomach churns. This isn't just about some affair or a divorce. This is something much bigger and much more dangerous. I pace the kitchen, trying to think clearly. Emily and the kids are upstairs, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing down here. I can't let anything happen to them. So what do we do? I ask, stopping to look at her. What's the plan? I don't know, she admits, her voice shaky. I was hoping you could help me figure that out. You're the only one who can. I stare at her, trying to read her. She's scared, that much is clear. But there's something else too, a desperation that I haven't seen before. I don't trust her, not after everything she's done, but if what she's saying is true, then I can't just ignore it. We need proof, I say, thinking out loud, something we can use against them. And we need to figure out who's behind this. If they're coming for me, I need to know what I'm dealing with. Sarah nods, looking relieved that I'm not kicking her out. I have some information, names, places, but it's not much. I've been keeping it hidden for years, just in case. Show me, I demand. She reaches into her bag and pulls out a small notebook worn from years of use. She hands it to me, her hands trembling. I flip through it, scanning the pages. There are names I don't recognize, addresses, and cryptic notes that don't make much sense without context. But it's a start. This isn't enough, I say, frustration creeping into my voice. We need more. I know, she replies, but it's all I have. I'm hoping you can help me get the rest. My mind is racing, trying to figure out the next move. I can't let this escalate without a plan, and I sure as hell can't let it put Emily and the kids in danger. But if Sarah's telling the truth, then I'm already in the crosshairs, and the only way out is through. Okay, I say finally. I'll help you. But if you're lying to me, Sarah, if this is some kind of game, it's not, she interrupts, her voice firm. I swear to you, Jake, I'm telling the truth. I want to believe her, but the doubt lingers. We need to be careful. No one can know about this, not Emily, not anyone. We'll keep digging until we find out who's behind this. Then we'll take them down. Sarah nods, her eyes filled with a mix of fear and determination. Thank you, Jake. I know I don't deserve your help, but thank you. I don't respond. I'm too busy thinking about what comes next. My life, which I thought I had finally rebuilt, is crumbling again. The past I've tried so hard to forget is back, with a vengeance. But this time I'm not going to be blindsided. I'm going to fight back. As I walk her to the door, I feel the weight of what's coming settle on my shoulders. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about my family, my future. I can't afford to lose everything again. After Sarah leaves, I lock the door and lean against it, trying to calm my racing heart. My phone buzzes in my pocket and I pull it out, expecting a message from Emily, but it's an unknown number. My blood runs cold as I read the text. Stop digging or your family pays the price. I stare at the screen, my mind going blank. It's already started. The threats, the danger, it's all real. And now, more than ever, I need to protect the people I love. I've been through hell before, and I'll do it again if I have to. But this time, I'm not just fighting for myself, I'm fighting for my family. I've called Sarah a dozen times, but she won't pick up. My frustration builds with every unanswered ring, every ignored voicemail. I slam my phone down on the kitchen counter, feeling the sharp edges of panic and anger gnawing at me. Emily notices, of course. She's always been good at reading me, but she's learned not to push when I'm like this. I hate keeping things from her, but I can't drag her into this mess, not yet. After checking that the kids are asleep, I grab my laptop and head to the living room. The glow from the screen lights up the dark room as I start digging. I search through old emails, social media posts, anything I can find from the time Sarah and I were together. I'm looking for patterns, names that pop up too often, places that don't make sense. I'm not a detective, but I've learned to follow my gut. Hours pass and I'm no closer to the truth. I find nothing that connects Sarah to anything criminal, but that only makes me more suspicious. Someone who can scare her into divorcing me and disappearing for a decade wouldn't leave an easy trail. I need to go deeper. The next day I take time off work. I tell Emily it's stress from the job, that I need to clear my head. It's not a complete lie. My mind is spinning, and I can't think straight with the weight of this threat hanging over us. I need answers, and Sarah's the only one who can give them to me. I drive to the address she gave me years ago, the house she moved to after the divorce. It's in a quiet suburb, the kind of place where nothing bad ever happens, or at least that's how it looks from the outside. I knock on the door, half expecting no answer, but Sarah opens it almost immediately. Her eyes are red, like she's been crying, or not sleeping, maybe both. What the hell, Sarah? I don't bother with pleasantries. You've been dodging my calls. What are you hiding? She steps aside, letting me in without a word. The place is a mess, clothes strewn across the furniture, dishes piled in the sink. It doesn't look like her. Sarah used to be meticulous, almost to a fault. This is someone barely holding it together. I'm not hiding anything, Jake, she says finally, her voice tired. I don't know what to do. Then start by telling me the truth, I say, my tone harsher than I intend. All of it. No more half-assed explanations. She sits on the couch, wringing her hands. I told you everything I know. They blackmailed me, Jake. They knew things about you, about your deployments, things they shouldn't have known. I thought leaving was the only way to protect you. That's not good enough, I snap. Who are they? What do they want now? Sarah shakes her head, tears forming again. I don't know exactly. They're connected to organized crime, but I never dealt with them directly. It was all through intermediaries. Threats, demands. I was in over my head before I even realized what was happening. And you didn't think to tell me this 10 years ago? My voice rises and I have to force myself to stay calm. You just let them ruin our lives? I was scared, she whispers. I'm still scared. I pace the room trying to process what she's telling me. It's vague, frustratingly so, but I believe she's telling the truth, or at least the version of it she knows. Whoever these people are, they're powerful enough to keep her silent for years, and now they're after me. Give me something, Sarah, I plead. Anything. A name, a place, something I can use. She stands up and walks to a small desk in the corner of the room. She pulls out a worn envelope and hands it to me. Inside are a few old photos, some scribbled notes, and a business card with a name with a name I don't recognize. Victor Moretti. He was one of them, she says quietly. He's dead now, but he was my first contact. I don't know much about him, just that he worked for someone higher up. After he died, they sent others, but they never gave me names. The card feels like a lead weight in my hand. Moretti. The name rings a bell, but I can't place it. I take a photo of the card with my phone, then slip it back into the envelope. I'll look into it, I say, trying to sound more confident than I feel. But you need to stay out of sight. If they know you've talked to me, I know, she says, cutting me off. I'll be careful. I leave the house, my mind racing. This isn't just about blackmail. It's bigger, more dangerous than I realized. I don't trust Sarah completely, but I can't ignore the fear in her eyes. And now I'm dragging myself deeper into the darkness, hoping to find a way out before it's too late. Back in my car, I start researching Victor Moretti. It doesn't take long to find out who he was, a mid-level enforcer for a crime syndicate with ties to drug trafficking and money laundering. He was killed in a shootout years ago, but his name still carries weight in the criminal underworld. If Moretti was involved with Sarah, then she was mixed up in something serious. The more I dig, the more it becomes clear that Sarah's situation was more complex than I thought. She wasn't just a pawn, she was caught in a web of deceit and violence that reached far beyond our marriage. And now that same web is closing in on me and my family. I try to reach out to some old contacts, people I served with who might have information on Moretti or his associates. It's a long shot, but I have to start somewhere. As I wait for replies, I can't shake the feeling that I'm being watched, that every move I make is under scrutiny. A few days later, I get a call from one of my contacts, a guy named Mike who used to be in military intelligence. He's wary, but he agrees to meet me at a bar tour outside of town. It's the kind of place where no one asks questions, which suits me just fine. When I walk in, Mike is already at the bar, nursing a beer. He's older, grayer, but his eyes are as sharp as ever. We exchange a brief nod before I sit down next to him. Moretti, I say, cutting straight to the point. What do you know? Mike takes a long sip of his beer before answering. Bad news. If you're mixed up with him or his crew, you're in deep shit, Jake. He worked for a man named DiMarco, serious player in the underworld. DiMarco's been quiet lately, but he's still got influence. If they're coming after you, I need to know what I'm dealing with, I interrupt. How do I get to DiMarco? Mike shakes his head, grimacing. You don't. Guys like him, they don't just disappear. You go looking for him, he'll know. And then it's game over. Then how do I protect my family? I ask, desperation creeping into my voice. Best thing you can do is lay low. Keep your head down, Mike advises. But knowing you, that's not going to happen, is it? I don't answer. We both know I'm not the type to run and hide. Not when my family's at risk. Mike sighs and leans in closer. There's one guy who might help, he says quietly. Name's Tony Navarro. Used to run with DiMarco's crew, but he went underground after Moretti died. He might have a grudge, or he might just want to stay out of the crossfire. Either way, if you can find him, he might give you what you need. How do I find him? I ask. Start in Little Italy, Mike says. Navarro always had a soft spot for the old neighborhood. But be careful, Jake. DiMarco's got eyes everywhere. I nod, taking in the information. It's not much, but it's a lead. And right now, that's all I have. As I drive home, my thoughts race. I'm plunging headfirst into a world I barely understand, chasing shadows in the dark. But I don't have a choice. Not anymore, my friend. My family's in danger, and I won't let anything happen to them. The next day, I drop the kids off at school and tell Emily I'm going to be busy with work. She gives me a concerned look, but she doesn't press. She knows when to leave things alone. I hate lying to her, but I can't risk her getting caught up in this. I head to Little Italy, navigating the narrow streets with a sense of unease. The neighborhood is a mix of old and new, where tradition and modernity collide in a confusing blend. I start asking questions, talking to people who might know something about Navarro. Most of them give me blank stares or tell me to mind my own business. But eventually I get a name, an old man who runs a small bakery, someone who's been around long enough to know everyone and everything in the neighborhood. When I walk into the bakery, the smell of fresh bread and pastries is almost overwhelming. The man behind the counter eyes me warily as I approach. "I'm looking for Tony Navarro," I say, keeping my voice low. "I was told you might know where to find him." The old man studies me for a moment, then shakes his head. "Navarro's trouble. Best to leave that alone." "I can't," I reply. "I need to find him. It's important." He sighs as if he's heard this all before. "Even if I knew where he was, I wouldn't tell you. Navarro's got a way of disappearing when he wants to. If he doesn't want to be found, you won't find him." "Please," I say, desperation creeping in. "My family's in danger. I just need to talk to him." The old man hesitates, then finally nods. "Try the old church on Mulberry Street. He used to go there when things got bad. If he's still around, that's where you'll find him." I thank him and leave, my heart pounding. I've got a location, but no guarantee Navarro will be there or that he'll help me if he is. But it's the only lead I have, and I'm running out of time. As I drive to the church, my phone buzzes with another anonymous text. "Last warning, Jake. Stop now or we'll make you stop." The threat feels like ice water in my veins. They're watching me, waiting for me to slip up. But I can't stop now. Not when I'm this close to answers. I pull up to the church, an old weathered building that's seen better days. The doors are open, and I step inside, the smell of incense and old wood filling the air. It's quiet, almost peaceful, but there's an undercurrent of tension, like the calm before a storm. I walk down the aisle, my footsteps echoing in the empty space. Near the altar, a figure is kneeling in prayer. I approach cautiously, my heart pounding in my chest. "Tony Navarro?" I ask, my voice steady but low. The man looks up slowly, his eyes meeting mine. There's something in his gaze. Weariness, suspicion, but also recognition. He knows why I'm here. "You're in over your head, kid," Navarro says, his voice gravelly. "But you already know that, don't you?" "I don't have a choice," I reply. "My family's at risk." "I need your help." Navarro studies me for a long moment, then nods slowly. "All right, I'll help you, but you're not going to like what you find." His words send a chill down my spine, but I force myself to stay calm. I'm in too deep to turn back now. "Tell me everything," I say. "And don't leave anything out." Navarro looks around as if expecting someone to be listening. Then he starts talking, and I realize just how much danger I've put us all in. Tony Navarro's story shakes me to the core. The man I trusted, the man who could have been my father, tells me that Sarah was blackmailed by Carlo DiMarco himself, a man who controlled every inch of the underworld. DiMarco is known for his ruthlessness, for making people disappear without a trace. He wanted something from Sarah, and when she refused, he turned her life into a nightmare. The affair, the divorce, it was all orchestrated to keep me from finding out the truth. Sarah was trying to protect me, but in doing so, she unleashes a storm that's now threatening to consume my entire family. I drive home, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. I can barely see the road through the haze of fury and fear. I trusted Sarah once, and it cost me everything. Now I have to trust her again, but the stakes are higher than ever. If DiMarco knows I'm digging into his past, he won't hesitate to come after me. Or worse, my wife and kids. When I pull into the driveway, Emily is waiting on the porch, her face etched with worry. She must have sensed something was wrong the moment I left this morning, but she stayed silent, giving me the space I needed. I can't hide this from her any longer, not when the danger is this close. I need to tell her, but how do I explain that our lives are in danger because of something that happened a decade ago? As I walk up the steps, Emily meets me halfway. She reaches for me, her touch grounding me, but it also makes the weight of what I have to say even heavier. "Jake, what's going on?" she asks, her voice trembling. "You've been distant, and I'm scared. Is it about work or something else?" I take her hands, trying to steady my own nerves. "It's complicated, Em. It's not about work, but it's serious. You and the kids might be in danger, and I need you to trust me." Her eyes widen, fear creeping into her expression. "Danger from who? What did you get involved in?" "It's not something I did," I say, forcing myself to keep calm. "It's about Sarah. She was mixed up in something dangerous, and now it's coming back to haunt us." Emily's breath catches in her throat. "Sarah? Jake, what the hell are you talking about? I thought she was out of your life." "She was," I reply, my voice heavy. "But now she's back because the people she was involved with are threatening us. I've been looking into it, trying to figure out who they are and what they want. But it's bigger than I thought, much bigger." Emily pulls away, her arms wrapping around herself as she processes what I've just told her. "Why didn't you tell me sooner? We're married, Jake. We're supposed to be a team." "I didn't want to drag you into this," I say, the words tasting bitter in my mouth. "But I can't protect you if you don't know what's happening. I need to go after these people, find a way to stop them before they can hurt us." Emily stares at me, her eyes full of hurt and fear. "And what happens if you can't stop them? What then? Do we just keep running, looking over our shoulders for the rest of our lives?" I don't have an answer. The silence between us stretches out, thick and suffocating. Finally, she takes a deep breath, her voice steadier than I expect. "Whatever you need to do, Jake, do it. But promise me we'll get through this together." "I promise," I say, though I'm not sure how much weight my promise holds. I kiss her forehead, feeling the warmth of her skin against my lips, and pray that I can keep her safe. That night, sleep eludes me. I lie awake, my mind racing with all the ways this could go wrong. The clock on the nightstand ticks away the minutes, each one a reminder that time is running out. I finally drift off, only to be jolted awake by a sound that sends ice through my veins, my phone buzzing on the nightstand. I grab it, my heart pounding. The message is from an unknown number, but the words are clear as day. "We have your wife. Come alone, or she dies." A location is pinned at the end of the message, somewhere in the industrial part of town. My breath catches in my throat, and for a moment, I'm paralyzed by fear. But then I remember Emily's face, her fear, and it snaps me into action. I throw on my clothes and grab the gun I keep hidden in the closet. I don't think twice about calling the police. This is something I need to handle myself. They said to come alone, and I don't doubt they'll kill Emily if I bring anyone else. As I slip out of the house, I feel a sharp pang of guilt for leaving the kids. They're asleep, unaware of the chaos swirling around them, and I can only hope they'll stay that way. I leave a quick note for the babysitter I called in, telling her to watch the kids and that I'll be back soon. It's a lie, but it's all I can give, Key. The drive to the location is a blur. My mind is focused on one thing, getting Emily back. The industrial area is desolate, silent except for the hum of machinery in the distance. I park the car and check my phone. No more messages. They're waiting for me. I step out of the car, the gun heavy in my hand, and make my way through the maze of warehouses. Every shadow, every noise puts me on edge. I don't know what I'm walking into, but I can't let fear stop me. I have to find Emily. As I turn a corner, I see them, a group of men standing by a loading dock, and in the middle of them is Emily, her hands bound, a blindfold over her eyes. My blood boils at the sight of her, but I force myself to stay calm. If I lose control now, it's over. One of the men steps forward, a smirk on his face. He's tall, muscular, with a scar running down the side of his face. He's the kind of guy who enjoys this, who lives for the fear he can instill in others. "Jake Matthews," he says, his voice dripping with condescension. "You actually came alone." I'm impressed. "Let her go," I say, keeping my voice steady. "I'm the one you want." "Oh, I'm well aware," he replies, his smirk widening. "But it's not that simple. You've been sticking your nose where it doesn't belong, and now it's time to pay the price. Before I can react, one of the men pulls out a gun and presses it to Emily's temple. My heart stops, fear paralyzing me. The leader sees it, and his smile grows. "I'll give you a choice, Jake," he says, his tone mocking. "Walk away, leave all of this behind, and we let your wife go. Or you can try to be a hero, and we see how that works out for you." I know it's a trap. They're not going to let Emily go no matter what I do. But if I try to fight them now, she's as good as dead. I need to buy time, think of a way out of this. But every second that passes feels like an eternity, and I'm running out of options. Emily's muffled sobs cut through the night air, and it takes everything in me not to rush forward. But I know that's exactly what they want, an excuse to pull the trigger. I need to be smarter than that. "I'll walk away," I say finally, my voice cold, "but only if you let her go first." The leader raises an eyebrow, clearly amused. "Do you think I'm an idiot? You first, Jake. And if you so much as twitch, she dies." I grit my teeth, my mind racing. I can't trust them, but I don't have a choice. I slowly lower my gun and take a step back, my heart pounding. But as I do, I see something out of the corner of my eye, a figure moving in the shadows, closing in on the group. My mind flashes to Navarro's words, how DiMarco's people have eyes everywhere. I keep stepping back, hoping the figure is on my side, that they're here to help. I just need to keep them distracted a little longer. "I'm done," I say, raising my hands in surrender. "Just let her go." The leader laughs, clearly enjoying this. "Nice try, Jake, but we both know how this ends." Before he can give the order, the figure in the shadows bursts into the open, a flash of movement, a spray of bullets. The men around Emily scatter, returning fire, and all hell breaks loose. I dive for cover, grabbing my gun and firing at the closest target. The leader goes down, a bullet between his eyes, and the rest of them scramble to regroup. But it's too late. I'm already on them, taking out anyone who gets in my way. In the chaos, I see Emily, still bound, still blindfolded, but alive. I fight my way to her, adrenaline fueling every move. When I reach her, I cut the ropes binding her wrists and pull the blindfold off. "Jake," she cries, throwing her arms around me. I was so scared. I know, Navarro doesn't hesitate. As soon as we're out of the warehouse, he's on the phone, calling in every favor he's ever had. His voice is low, urgent, speaking in a mix of English and Spanish that I can barely follow. But I understand the essentials. He's gathering a team, people who owe him or fear him enough to step into this mess without asking too many questions. My mind is still reeling from the shootout, from the sight of Emily bound and terrified. She's safe now, but the relief is short-lived. I can't forget the look in her eyes, the fear that's taken root there. It's my fault. I got too close to something dangerous, and now it's come home to roost. I need to end this. "We have to move fast," Navarro says, snapping his phone shut. "They'll regroup, and when they do, they'll come after us harder. We need to hit them first, where it hurts." "Where?" My voice is rough, my hands still shaking from the adrenaline. "Where do we find them?" "There's a club," Navarro says, eyes narrowing. DiMarco's men use it as a front for their operations. Drugs, money laundering, the works. If we hit it, we'll draw them out. But it's not going to be easy. "I don't care how hard it is," I say through clenched teeth. "I'm taking them down." Navarro gives me a hard look, then nods. We go in quiet. "Get what we need, then get out. But if it goes south," I know, I cut him off. "Let's do this." We drive in silence, the city lights flashing by in a blur. I think of Emily, of the kids, and what I'm about to do. I can't afford to hesitate. If I fail, it's over. Not just for me, but for everyone I care about. The thought fuels my resolve. When we reach the club, it's just past midnight. The place is packed, neon lights flickering above the entrance. Music thumps through the walls, and a line of people snakes around the building, waiting to get in. Navarro parks a few blocks away, out of sight, and we make our way to the back entrance. Navarro's contacts come through, a guy in a black suit who slips us in through a side door, nodding grimly as we pass. Inside, the club is a labyrinth of dark hallways and pounding bass. We move quickly, keeping to the shadows until we reach a locked door at the end of a corridor. "This is it," Navarro says, pulling out a set of lockpicks. "Give me a minute." I stand guard, heart hammering in my chest as Navarro works on the lock. I've been in tight spots before, but this is different. This is personal. When the door clicks open, Navarro pushes it ajar, revealing a stairwell that descends into the bowels of the club. We move down the stairs, the noise from the club fading as we go deeper. The air is thick with the stench of sweat and alcohol, and I can feel the tension in the pit of my stomach. We reach another door at the bottom, and Navarro checks it quickly before nodding to me. "Ready?" he whispers. "Let's do it," I reply, gripping the gun tighter in my hand. He pushes the door open and we step into a dimly lit room. It's not what I expected. No guards, no sign of DiMarco's men, just a large circular space with a table in the center, surrounded by monitors displaying security feeds from all over the club. A man sits at the table, his back to us, typing something into a laptop. Navarro moves fast, crossing the room in a few silent steps, and grabs the man by the collar, yanking him out of the chair. The guy lets out a startled yelp, but Navarro silences him with a punch to the gut that leaves him gasping for air. "Where's DiMarco?" Navarro growls, pressing the gun to the guy's head. I don't know," the man stammers, clutching his stomach. "I'm just the tech guy, I swear." "Don't lie to me," Navarro hisses. "You know where he is. Where?" The man trembles, looking like he's about to wet himself. He's not here. DiMarco doesn't come to the club." "He's too careful for that." "Then where is he?" I step forward, my voice low and dangerous. "Tell us, or I swear, this will be the last thing you ever do." The tech guy's eyes dart between us, panic written all over his face. "I don't know, but wait, there's a warehouse. DiMarco uses it for meetings to stay off the radar. It's on the west side near the docks." "That's all I know, I swear." Navarro glances at me, and I nod. It's enough. We tie the guy up, leaving him in the room with the monitors, and make our way back up the stairs. The warehouse is our next target. It's risky, but if DiMarco's there, it's our best shot at ending this. We drive across town, the city now a blur of dark streets and looming shadows. The docks are quiet when we arrive, the air thick with the smell of salt water and rust. Navarro leads the way, his gun drawn, as we navigate the maze of shipping containers and abandoned warehouses. "There," Navarro whispers, pointing to a large, nondescript building at the end of a row of containers. "That's the one." We approach cautiously, keeping to the shadows. I can feel the tension coiled tight in my chest, every nerve on edge. This is it, the moment everything hinges on. I can't afford to mess up. Navarro signals for me to cover him as he checks the entrance. The door is slightly ajar and he pushes it open, revealing a cavernous space filled with crates and machinery. It's dimly lit, and the silence is oppressive, broken only by the distant sound of water slapping against the docks. We slip inside, moving between the crates, and I catch sight of movement at the far end of the warehouse. There's a group of men, 5 or 6, standing around a table, talking in low voices. And in the middle of them is Carlo DiMarco. The sight of him sends a surge of adrenaline through me. He's older than I expected, with graying hair and a face lined with years of dealing in blood and corruption. But there's no mistaking the aura of power he exudes. This is the man who tore my life apart, who dragged Sarah into this nightmare, and who nearly took everything from me. Navarro motions for me to flank them as he moves to the opposite side. We're outnumbered, but we have the element of surprise. I steady my breathing, focusing on the task at hand. Take out the guards, get to DiMarco, and end this. Navarro fires first, the crack of his gun echoing through the warehouse. I'm right behind him, moving fast, taking down the nearest guard with a well-placed shot. The rest scramble for cover, but we're on them before they can react. The firefight is brief, brutal. I drop one of the guards with a shot to the chest, then another with a bullet to the knee. Navarro takes down the last 2, his movements precise, methodical. Within seconds, it's over. The guards are down and only DiMarco is left, standing by the table, his hands raised in surrender. Well, he says, a hint of a smirk on his lips, I suppose congratulations are in order. You found me. Shut up, I growl, stepping forward, my gun trained on him. This ends now. DiMarco chuckles, a dark, sinister sound that sends a chill down my spine. You really think killing me will end this? You're a fool, Jake. I'm just a piece of the puzzle. Take me out, and another will take my place. I don't care, I snap. You're going to pay for what you did, for what you put my family through. DiMarco's smirk fades, replaced by a cold, calculating look. And what will you do, Jake? Kill me in cold blood? Is that who you are now? A murderer? His words hit me like a punch to the gut. He's trying to get inside my head, to make me doubt myself. But I can't afford to waver. Not now. You don't get to lecture me about morality, I say, my voice steady. Not after everything you've done. He sighs, almost as if he's disappointed. You're right, I've done terrible things. But killing me won't fix what's broken. It won't bring back your peace. Navarro steps up beside me, his gun also trained on DiMarco. Enough talk. We're taking you in. DiMarco's eyes flicker with something, fear, resignation, maybe both. He knows it's over. But as we move to cuff him, he makes one last move, a hand darting toward his coat, reaching for something. Without thinking, I react. The gun in my hand goes off, the sound deafening in the confined space. DiMarco staggers back, clutching his chest, a look of shock on his face. He falls to the ground, blood pooling around him, his breath rattling in his throat. I stand there, my gun still raised, my heart pounding. I stand there frozen as DiMarco's body hits the ground. Blood seeps from his chest, pooling on the cold concrete floor of the warehouse. My gun is still raised, the weight of it heavy in my hand. The silence that follows is deafening, a stark contrast to the chaos that erupted just moments ago. Navarro moves beside me, his eyes narrowing as he watches DiMarco's last breath escape in a ragged gasp. It's done, Navarro says, his voice rough, but there's no satisfaction in it, only grim acceptance. I lower my gun, but my hands are still shaking. I look at DiMarco's lifeless form, and the reality of what I've just done starts to sink in. I killed him. The man who twisted my life, who put my family in danger, who forced Sarah into an impossible situation, is dead by my hand. But the rush of victory I expected doesn't come. Instead, I feel hollow, like something vital has been ripped out of me. Navarro claps me on the shoulder, a gesture meant to reassure me, but it only adds to the weight pressing down on my chest. Let's get out of here, Jake. There's nothing more we can do. I nod, my throat tight, and we make our way out of the warehouse. The night air is cool, biting against my skin as we step outside. I take a deep breath, trying to steady myself, but the taste of blood and gunpowder lingers in the back of my throat. Navarro leads the way to the car, and I follow, feeling like a ghost in my own skin. The drive back is silent. Navarro keeps his eyes on the road, but I can feel him glancing at me from time to time, as if he's waiting for me to crack. I don't. I can't afford to. There's still too much at stake. When we finally reach my house, it's nearly dawn. The sky is tinged with the first light of day, but the shadows still cling to every corner, refusing to be chased away. I get out of the car, moving on autopilot, and make my way to the front door. Navarro stays behind, watching me go with a look that I can't quite decipher. Inside, the house is quiet. Emily is asleep on the couch, curled up under a blanket, her face relaxed in the soft glow of the early morning light. Seeing her like this, safe and unharmed, should bring me some peace, but it doesn't. I gently brush a strand of hair from her face, feeling a pang of guilt deep in my chest. She stirs, her eyes fluttering open, and when she sees me, relief washes over her features. Jake, she whispers, sitting up and wrapping her arms around me. You're okay. I hold her close, breathing in the familiar scent of her hair, but the warmth I used to feel when she touched me isn't there. It's like I'm numb, disconnected from everything around me. She pulls back slightly, searching my face with worried eyes. What happened? She asks softly. Did you find him? I nod, unable to speak. The words stick in my throat, heavy and bitter. How do I tell her that I killed a man tonight, that I crossed a line I can never uncross? The person who left this house hours ago isn't the one standing here now, and I don't know if I'll ever be him again. Emily senses my turmoil, her expression softening as she takes my hand. Come to bed, she murmurs. You need to rest. I let her lead me upstairs, my body moving mechanically. When we reach our bedroom, she pulls me into bed, wrapping her arms around me as if she can protect me from the darkness that settled in my soul. I close my eyes, but sleep doesn't come. My mind is too full of images I can't escape. DiMarco's face, twisted in fear and defiance, the sound of the gunshot, the lifeless weight of his body. Hours pass in a haze, and when I finally slip into a restless sleep, it's filled with nightmares. DiMarco's eyes stare at me from the darkness, accusing, relentless. I see Emily and the kids trapped, reaching out for me, but I can't get to them. The distance between us grows, and no matter how hard I try, I can't close it. I wake up in a cold sweat, my heart racing. The room is dark again, the sun long set. Emily is still beside me, her breathing soft and even. I slip out of bed, careful not to wake her, and make my way downstairs. I pour myself a glass of water, but my hand is trembling so much that I almost drop it. The water does nothing to wash away the bitter taste in my mouth. I sit at the kitchen table, staring at the darkened windows, and I realize that I'm not the same man I was before. Something inside me has changed, something I can't put back together. I've killed before, in Iraq, on the battlefield. But this is different. This was personal. And now that it's done, I don't know how to live with it. The next few days pass in a blur. Navarro calls to check in, but I keep the conversation short, not wanting to dwell on what happened. I try to fall back into my routine, going to work, spending time with Emily and the kids, but everything feels off, like I'm moving through a fog. Emily tries to reach me, to pull me out of the darkness, but I can't let her in. Every time I look at her, I'm reminded of how close I came to losing her, and it twists something deep in my gut. She doesn't push, but I can see the worry in her eyes, the tension in her shoulders. It's only a matter of time before she confronts me about it, but I'm not ready to have that conversation. Then one evening, as we're sitting together in the living room, the phone rings. I almost don't answer it, but something in me makes me pick it up. The voice on the other end is familiar, but I can't place it at first. It's cold, emotionless. Jake Matthews, the voice says, and I feel a chill run down my spine. You thought it was over. You thought you could walk away. But you're wrong. DiMarco was just a piece of the puzzle, and now the real game begins. My blood turns to ice. I knew it couldn't be this simple, that killing DiMarco wouldn't solve everything, but hearing it confirmed makes my stomach drop. This isn't over, not by a long shot. Who is this? I demand, my voice shaking with barely controlled rage. What do you want? The voice chuckles, a low, sinister sound that makes my skin crawl. You'll find out soon enough. But here's a hint. Watch your back. And remember, everyone has a weakness. Even you. The line goes dead, leaving me standing there, the phone pressed to my ear, my heart pounding in my chest. I slowly lower the phone, my mind racing. Whoever this is, they're playing a dangerous game, and I've just become their next target. I look at Emily, who's watching me with concern, and I realize that I can't keep her in the dark any longer. This isn't just about me, it's about all of us. And if I don't figure out who's behind this, they could destroy everything I've fought to protect. I take a deep breath, trying to steady myself, and turn to Emily. We need to talk, I say, my voice heavy with the weight of what's coming. There's something I need to tell you. She nods, her eyes wide with fear, but she doesn't hesitate. Okay, she says softly. I'm listening. I sit down beside her, taking her hand in mine, and for the first time since this nightmare began, I tell her everything. About DiMarco, about Sarah, about the man on the phone. I don't hold anything back, and as the words spill out, I can see the shock and fear in her eyes. But she doesn't pull away. She stays right there, holding on to me, giving me the strength I need to keep going. When I finish, there's a long silence. Emily looks down at our joined hands, then back up at me, her expression resolute. "We'll get through this, Jake," she says, her voice steady. "Whatever it takes, we'll get through it." I want to believe her, but I can't shake the feeling that this is just the beginning, that there's more coming, something darker, more dangerous than anything we've faced before. And this time, I'm not sure I'm strong enough to protect us. But I have no choice. I have to fight. For Emily, for the kids, for the life we've built. I have to see this through, no matter the cost. I just hope it doesn't destroy us in the process. I stand alone in the kitchen, staring out the window into the dark night. The house is quiet, too quiet. The kind of silence that lets your thoughts creep in, whispering all the things you're trying to avoid. Emily and the kids are asleep upstairs, unaware of the storm that's still raging inside me. I've been home for weeks now, trying to settle back into a routine, but nothing feels the same. The truth is, I'm not the same. How could I be after everything that's happened? I've spent so many nights like this, thinking about the choices I've made, replaying every moment in my head. DiMarco's death should have brought closure, but instead it opened a new wound. I wanted to protect my family, to end the nightmare, but I realize now that you can't just put a bullet in the past and walk away. The scars are too deep, the damage done. Emily's been patient, more patient than I deserve. She knows I'm struggling, but she doesn't push. She tries to fill the silence with normalcy, making breakfast, planning family outings, talking about the future as if everything's fine. But we both know it's not. One morning as we sit at the kitchen table with the kids, she reaches across and touches my hand, her eyes searching mine. "Jake," she says softly, "you're here, but you're not really here. I need you to come back to us." I squeeze her hand, forcing a smile that doesn't reach my eyes. "I'm trying, Em, I am." But even as I say it, I know it's not enough. The guilt eats at me, a constant reminder of the blood on my hands. I've tried to bury it, to lock it away, but it always finds a way back. I can see it in the way Emily looks at me, in the way she holds the kids a little tighter when I'm near. She doesn't say it, but I know she's afraid, afraid of what I might become if I can't find my way back. The weeks turn into months, and slowly, life starts to find a rhythm again. I go back to work, trying to lose myself in the routine, but the memories linger. Every now and then I catch a glimpse of something, an old photograph, a familiar scent, and it pulls me back to that night in the warehouse. To the moment I pulled the trigger and ended a life. One evening, Emily and I are sitting on the porch after the kids have gone to bed. The air is warm, the sky streaked with the last light of the setting sun. She leans against me, her head resting on my shoulder, and for the first time in a long while, I feel a small measure of peace. "I've been thinking," she says quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe it's time for a fresh start. Somewhere new where we can put all this behind us." I turn to look at her, surprised. "You mean move?" She nods, her eyes earnest. "It doesn't have to be far, just somewhere different. A place where we can really start over." The idea takes root in my mind, and for the first time, it feels like a possibility, a chance to leave the darkness behind and build something new. But even as I consider it, I know that no matter where we go, the memories will follow. You can't outrun your past, but maybe, just maybe, you can learn to live with it. "I think you're right," I finally say, pulling her closer. "A fresh start might be what we need." Emily smiles, a small, hopeful smile that lights up her face. "We'll figure it out together," she says, her voice filled with quiet determination. "One step at a time." As the days pass, we start making plans. We look at houses in different towns, talk about schools for the kids, dream about a life that feels far removed from the one we've known. It's not easy, and there are moments when the weight of everything threatens to pull me back under. But with Emily by my side, I start to believe that maybe, just maybe, we can find our way through this. One afternoon, while packing up some old boxes, I come across a photo of Sarah. It's from our wedding day, her smile wide and bright, full of a future we never had. For a moment, I just stare at it, the emotions swirling inside me, anger, sadness, regret. But then I place it back in the box and close the lid. It's time to let go. The day we move, I stand outside our old house, looking at it one last time. So much has happened here, good and bad, but it's just a place, and we're more than the walls that held us. Emily joins me, slipping her hand into mine, and together we walk to the car, ready to drive toward whatever comes next. The new house is smaller, cozier, but it feels right. The kids adjust quickly, making new friends, settling into a new school. Emily and I unpack slowly, turning the house into a home, filling it with the things that matter: love, laughter, the simple joy of being together. But the darkness isn't completely gone. I still have nights where sleep eludes me, where the past comes creeping in, reminding me of the things I can't change. But those nights are fewer now, and when they come, I've learned to face them. I'm not the man I was, but maybe that's okay. Maybe I've become someone stronger, someone who can carry the weight of what I've done and still find a way to move forward. One evening, as I stand on the porch watching the sun dip below the horizon, I realize something. I'm at a crossroads. The future is uncertain, full of unknowns, but it's also full of possibilities. I can choose to keep looking back, letting the past dictate my life, or I can choose to step into the future, with all its risks and rewards. I turn and walk back inside where Emily is waiting. The kids' laughter echoes from the living room, a sound that fills the house with warmth. I pull her into my arms, holding her close, feeling the steady beat of her heart against mine. "We're going to be okay," I whisper, more to myself than to her. She looks up at me, her eyes filled with trust, and for the first time in a long time, I believe it. The past is behind us, and the future, uncertain as it may be, is ours to shape. It won't be easy, but we'll face it together. And that's enough.